Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. Got another episode of Windshield Time here for you. And I apologize, my whole YouTube channel won't just be about windshield time. I've been on the road for a while, and I think this is my this is my fourth week on the road, and it might end up being 5 or more. So with being on the road and with the tournament schedule, it makes it really difficult to edit some of the footage that I already have in the can. And that is, I've got an FLW Super Tournament on lacrosse that I need to edit and post. And then I also have a day on the lake, actually an afternoon on the lake about finding fish in the summertime. So got some stuff coming up. But for right now, I wanted to do a quick windshield time video on practicing for tournaments, trying to find fish. It goes in theme with the last episode of Windshield Time where I talked about locating fish in seasons and then different search baits for smallmouth and different things like that. This kind of goes in line with it. And I wanted to give you 3 points that I think are really important when trying to find fish in a limited amount of time or when practicing for a tournament. Number 1, it's really important to fish your strengths. Whenever you're trying to find fish under a restrictive amount of time, and let's face it, we're all under a restrictive amount of time. We all just don't have an unlimited amount of time to get out there and locate the winning school. So number 1 I'm gonna say is fish your strengths. And fishing your strengths is, a lot of guys want to be this kind of fisherman or that kind of fisherman, but one of the best ways to figure out what your strengths is to kind of look back over your history as a fisherman and remember all the great catches that you've had, all the places where you've been, or all the tournaments that you fished, or the times over the years that you've caught fish. And there will generally be some sort of commonality in the way that you locate or the way that you catch those fish. And that, I would say, is your strength. If generally you catch them those days when you really do well, you catch them on something that you're winding, like a crankbait or a spinnerbait or a bladed jig, then I bet you're more of a power fisherman. When your best days are, and your best days don't necessarily have to be in a tournament, but where you've caught maybe a lot of fish or found a big school of fish or just have some memorable times out on the water, definitely those are the times that really kind of reveal your strengths. If it was finesse fishing, like maybe a shaky head or a drop shot or a Ned rig or different things like that, then you're probably more inclined to be a finesse fisherman. And I want to caution you guys, don't pay attention to what's cool in fishing. You can learn the techniques that are trending, but number 1, try to learn your fishing personality. And that's something I'll go into more in another episode. But learn more about you, how you catch them, what you do best. Anyways, take your strength and with that, apply that to whatever body of water you're fishing. When you're fishing your strengths or fishing baits that you have a lot of confidence in, you generally can fish through the periods where it's slow and you're not catching anything while you're trying to find them. So again, fish your strengths or your confidence baits. Same kind of thing. Number 2, when practicing for a tournament, you definitely want to consider what time of year it is in your seasonal pattern. And this kind of goes back to my choice of different things that I do to find fish when I'm out on the water. And that's, again, your seasonal patterns. And I'll keep hammering those home. Your seasonal patterns are really important because seasonal patterns dictate where the fish will be. It doesn't mean all the fish will be doing that, but you want to stack the odds in your favor And so the best thing you can do is be fishing around where the majority of the fish or the highest concentration or populations of fish are. So if it's the summer, generally the highest population is offshore. If it's the spring, then generally fish are either moving to or away from shallow water, depending upon if it's pre-spawn or post-spawn. And then during the spawn, if you can identify that it's during the spawn, obviously it's shallow. And then in the fall, there's deep bites and shallow bites, but so you want to keep an open mind there. And in the wintertime, there's also deep and shallow. There's always shallow fish, and they're just maybe not the highest concentration of fish. So you want to keep in mind your seasonal patterns, and that's going to point you to where you're going to go apply your favorite technique, your confidence baits, and that's where you're going to apply your confidence techniques, your fishing personality, and utilize your strengths to find those fish in those areas. And lastly, try to understand the personality of the lake. Some lakes, like I think of Lake Tawakoni near my home in East Texas, there's a saying, whether it's 10 degrees or 110 degrees, the fish are in 6 foot or less, or 10 foot or less on Lake Tawakoni. That's the personality of a lake. And my home lake, Lake Fork, has a history of having a tremendous offshore pattern, offshore structure type bite. And guys catch big stringers of fish on offshore places during the summer. So that's definitely, or like Rayburn in the springtime, Sam Rayburn in the springtime. Just to give you a couple of examples, guys catch them on lipless crankbaits, but not only lipless crankbaits, but what kind of lipless crankbaits? Like a Rayburn Red lipless type crankbait. So you kind of understand what I'm saying. You definitely want to take those things into consideration. And even community holes, some places you'll go to, you'll know, hey, that's a big community hole, like the Black Forest at Sam Rayburn, or Veach Basin is a community hole. And that's always a good place that you could go, and they're large areas too, where you could go and get an understanding of what the fish might be doing in those areas that you know have historically got a lot of fish. Healthy fish populations live in those areas, and when you're trying to figure out what fish are doing, and you go into a place that has a healthy fish population, it's quicker and easier for you to get an understanding of what they're doing and what the pattern is that you could possibly apply to another place on the lake. But you get a feel for what the fish are doing. And so those are 3 things I think you can take into consideration anytime you're out there on the water trying to practice for a tournament or find fish. Those are 3 different things that you definitely want to think about, definitely want to be on your mind, so that you can find fish when practicing for a tournament. That's it for now, guys. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. Hope that you like this video. If you do, give me a thumbs up. And until next time, good fishing.